Today we're looking at VIGI. It is the fourth Vanguard ETF that we have looked at over the past couple of days here. VIGI is the international version of Vanguard's Growers ETF or Dividend Growers ETF. So it has some international stocks that pay a dividend and that the dividend is growing. So what we do in this series is we are taking a look at these 30 separate ETFs, trying to determine how much of the ETFs we need to own to hit $1,000 a month. And if you have any suggestions, head down into the comments and let me know if you want to see an ETF not listed on this list, if you want to see an ETF analyzed this way. So today's ETF is Vanguard's International Dividend Growers ETF. We're going to head over to the web page and try to determine what they are doing, their approach to be able to pay us that dividend yield. And over on Seeking Alpha, we're going to try to come to a solid number or a 1 dividend percentage number to be able to put into our calculator how much VIGI we need to own to hit $1,000 a month. And here's what our calculator is going to look like. We're not going to go over the entire calculator. We're just going to take a peek at a few inputs once the time comes to it. Over on Vanguard's website, VIGI officially is Vanguard's International Dividend Appreciation ETF. The expense ratio is around a 0.15%. It seeks to track the performance of the S&P or the S&P Global Exchange US Dividend Growers Index, the large cap equity, emphasizing stocks from developed and emerging markets, excluding the United States, with a record of growing dividends year over year. So what is in this ETF? Coming to Robinhood's page for VIGI, it is 23% in the healthcare sector, 15% in the consumer defensive, and 13% in financial services. So very odd to see these being the top 3 in an ETF. Usually it's technology and financials, which are giving you a higher dividend yield. And down in the top 10 holdings, you can see some foreign exchanges here in the XETR, XSWX, PINX, and some of these are the Swiss exchange, a few German exchanges, and then probably some Chinese and Japanese exchanges. But you can see TD Bank, I believe that is on the New York Stock Exchange, but it is a Canadian company. So some of these do not or are not offered on Robinhood, only TD Bank is. Let's take a quick peek at TD Bank, and its dividend yield is 4%. So quite promising for a high dividend yielding fund. Let's go over to Seeking Alpha and take a peek at their 12-month trailing yield. And VIGI, their 12-month trailing yield is 9.26. But we're not going to use this number, and I'll show you why. Over on their dividends tab, under dividend history, that 12-month trailing yield number is including this very large $5.40 payouts. I believe this was both short-term and long-term capital gains that they had to pay out, most likely for tax purposes, before the end of the year. So that 9% 12-month trailing yield number includes this, and it looks like it artificially inflates it. So let's go over to the daily dividend yield chart and try to determine a more accurate dividend yield number from the history. And you can see that it looks like it's gone up a little bit above 2% and has gone all the way down to about 1% dividend yield. So for the sake of this video, let's say VIGI did not have another large capital gains payout in their dividend. Let's say it settled more around 1.5%. So let's use that for our calculation. Over on the calculator, we're not going to go over all of it, but we're just going to simply type in VIGI, and the fund name comes up, Vanguard's International Dividend Appreciation Index Fund ETF. We settled on a 1.5%, which was slightly lower than VIG. The expense ratio is 0.15, but that does not have too much weight in what we are doing. You can play around with the growth and contribution numbers yourself. If you would like to download this calculator from Patreon, if you change these numbers, the portfolio values will change. the income levels will change, as well as the long-term graphs. But we are looking at this section right here. With that 1.5% dividend yield number, VIGI, you would need $800,000 worth of VIGI to hit $1,000 a month, and $80,000 respectively for 100, and $4 million respectively for $5,000 a month in dividends. And let's take a peek at how it has performed against the S&P 500, SPY. It is an S&P 500 ETF compared versus VIGI on Portfolio Visualizer with $500,000 with dividends reinvested. VIGI in the blue severely underperforms the SPY. So across the board, this fund has been fairly unimpressive over the course of this time period. For March 2016, VIGI has, with dividends reinvested, has had a cumulative annual growth rate of 6% per year, and SPY of about 12.7% per year. If we were not to reinvest the dividends, taking a look at the graph again, the CAGR number goes down for VIGI 3.6% per year since March of 16, and SPY at 10.7% per year. And these are the ending balances with $500,000. Coming down to the income, you can see that large spike with that large payout, December of 2021. But other than that, it looks like the SPY has outperformed in both growth and dividend payout for VIGI. This is probably a fund you would probably want to stay away from. So that wraps up this video, today's video for VIGI. If there's another ETF you want to see analyzed in this way, head down to the comments and I will add it to our suggested comments section. And if you want access to this calculator, it is available over on Patreon. And with that, thanks for watching.